Welcome to Dependable Flame, where we explore vintage petrol lighters, ashtrays, tobacciana, and other useful mechanisms. Make yourself at home. Today we are going to talk a little bit further about our roller lighter made in Japan, the Cupid, with the Aimco advertising on the back of it. Has the hole in the fuel screw. We talked about this lighter last week and discussed whether or not the fuel screw was actually necessary. I don't know if you can see this right there, but there is a hole right in the middle of it. Not only is there a hole going right through the middle, but the screwdriver slot is so deep that it cuts into the thread. So you've got multiple points where there is no contact between the surfaces, and you would have very easy conditions for evaporation. I should have struck this lighter before I pulled the fuel screw out. I struck it this morning and it lit, but it was very weak, so I don't really expect the lighter to light. We'll see how it goes. So we fueled this up Sunday night, and I was still using it yesterday evening. I'm not a pack-a-day smoker or anything like that, although I do use it quite a bit. I'm going to go ahead and overfill this time. Not necessarily purposely, like try to run it all over the floor here or anything like that. But since I want to give you a good idea of how long this lighter will go when filled with fuel and employing that fill screw with all those holes in it, then we want to go ahead and make sure we got it full. Where the other night I really needed to use that lighter right then, so I was consciously trying not to overfill it. Maybe I didn't really fill it up as much as I could have, and maybe we could have gotten a few more days out of it. So we'll see. It definitely looks full now. There's fluid standing in there. We're going to go ahead and replace that fuel screw. So I filled it up Sunday night, so that gave me a solid 4 days going into the 5th. Gavin commented below the video that he refills his Zippo every 3 days on the regular. So this lasted more than 3 days. It was, like I said, 4 working on 5, and it was definitely not overflowing like this the other day when I filled it. Back to the question that caused me to make the video the other day was, what do I do if my lighter is leaking? You see, it's leaking. I mean, it's all over my hand. So what you do is let that evaporate. Shake it out. Make sure you don't have an open flame around you. Shake it out. Set it aside. Let it dry. Let the air get to it. Getting back to, Gavin said he refills his lighter every 3 days. And Giovanni also left a comment talking about the hole in the bottom possibly providing a bigger flame. And that's something I hadn't considered. He mentioned the Zippo inserts as an example, that if they are completely locked off, that it chokes out the flame. You know, the Zippo insert style petrol lighters do produce some of the biggest flames that you can find. I hadn't really considered that until now, Giovanni, but that very well could be the case. Now, this lighter doesn't have a very big wick on it, and I don't know how much air is really traveling through there. I think maybe part of the reason that this lighter is working so well with so many avenues for evaporation is because the wadding is packed so not over tight, it's just packed perfectly tight enough. My hand is dry now after we've just been sitting here talking about this for a couple of minutes. Hand's dry. Yeah, now my hand's wet again. So it hasn't had enough time. I've got a compressor in there. You can always blow it out with air, put it in front of a fan. Man, that's annoying how long that takes to fill back up. So now my hand's getting a little wet, but it's not just pouring out. So we definitely overfilled the lighter. So for those of you who ask, what happens if I overfill my lighter? What happens if it is leaking? There you go. Blow it out. You need to disperse with some of that extra fluid one way or another. It will evaporate. It will evaporate enough rather quickly. You can also blow on it, put it in front of a fan, or blow it out with an air compressor if you have one of those. So today is Friday afternoon. We will see now how many days we get out of this. I have other lighters I use. I've got a pocket full, so it's not like I use this one every time that I light up, but I use it often enough to give a reasonable expectation of using a lighter like that. And exactly like I said, what kind of fuel efficiency and how much evaporation really takes place if a lighter like this can still be used X number of days later with holes in the fuel screw. You know, if I shake it, it'll shake fluid down in my hand now, but I'm not going to do that anymore. It's not just leaking fluid into my hand from sitting there. Well, maybe it is just a little. Soon enough, it will not be. And the next time you guys see this lighter, we will be talking about how many days it lasted on this fill up. So just out of curiosity, just a little project, and just to give a couple of videos that I can embed into the eBay listing for this lighter. This very interesting Cupid with Aimco advertising. It works extremely well. It has what might be the longest flint screw ever employed in a pocket lighter. The plating has worn in an interesting fashion on one side or maybe a couple of sides, but is mostly intact on the other. So we'll probably do another video on this lighter next week, just updating you on exactly how long this fueling lasts. We got a good 4.5 days the last time. Until next time.